Good morning. I'm going to try this for the third time. It is October the 16th, 2025. It is 12:26 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For the record, this is Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Adonai Hashem. He who comes from heaven is here. And we're going to talk about a few things. So, I actually did a video yesterday, non-biblical. And it was in reference to my childhood upbringing in Rowan County, North Carolina, and the similarities between the show Stranger Things, but the stranger part about that is how I can directly manifest things on behalf of my will, but also being in proximity to people, places, and things, it'll fruit in unexpected ways. So if you haven't checked that video out, I suggest you do, but keep in mind it is a non-biblical lens, and it is mainly to illustrate domain and dominion. So unlike human beings, you guys can have a thought and that's all it is, right? So you guys are kind of like the fake version of when you can capitulate the idea of human beings being little gods, meaning you have the free will to create and then to create, but with material. I, as Elohim, do not create with material, but only my thought. So by living upon earth, it has massive implications for all things, including not only media, right? So not only shows that inspire through the spirit things like the Duffer Brothers, right? I never went to them and said, hey, I need you to make Stranger Things. No, because the setting, the markers, like all these nuances that are seen visually in the film, a lot of times, I would say 7 out of 10 times, have a direct correlation with real life events that transpired for me. So, if you haven't checked it out, I suggest you do. But again, keep an open mind. If you are in the very infantile stages of your faith, or you're just getting to know me, then I suggest you not watch it, because it could definitely confuse you and maybe throw you for a loop. But again, understanding, here's a good example of this, and then I'll jump to our topicals for the day. So last night I got up and probably an experience most people have from time to time, right? Well, one of my bad habits is a midnight snack. It's just something I, call it for what it is. I enjoy having a midnight snack. I'll be working in the spirit really, really hard. It makes me hungry. And then when I'm coming back into my body, I, kind of wake up and it feels like I've been gone for a week. So I'm really hungry, but I'm not obviously going to go make a 4-course meal, at 1 a.m. So instead, I get a little snack. Well, last night, I grabbed Cool Ranch Doritos. And if you've ever had Doritos, you know that most of the time you pick it up and those chips are pretty bald, right? Not a lot of seasoning on there. Well, and I do this often with myself, with my family. Oftentimes I will alter things, right? So instead of pulling out a bald chip, all I did was speak the word, give me a black flavored chip. I pull the chip, more seasoning front and back than you could have ever imagined. And I said, okay, again, and again, and again, and again. I did at least 5 times, back to back to back to back to back. And then at that time, my mouth was so loaded with the Doritos flavoring, I was done. I was like, okay, I need a little bit of milk and off to bed. Point is that Stranger Things tie-in, I mean, with absolute certainty, it is a manifestation of events. And because I actually, in that time period, back in 97 to 05, I wasn't making videos. I wasn't physically writing anything down for a witness. But human beings on creation are actually purposed to be a witness, whether or not they understand what they're doing and what reasons they're doing it for, right? Like George Lucas was benign in understanding what his purpose was, because he couldn't see it from my viewpoint as Elohim. He could only see it from his viewpoint as man, and then how it was going to serve an end goal for him. Meanwhile, it served a higher purpose for me. Well, the same thing when it comes to the Duffer Brothers and the Stranger Thing narrative. A lot of the situations that occur in that show are actual occurrences that happened by me, for me, through me. And again, the similarities, right? Like Curly Road was a road that I grew up right around. The quarry incident, the pulling up of my dead friend. Like, there's a lot of things. Like I said, watch that video. It'll shed some light. But to the purpose of today. The solar flares. So this was about 5 days ago. I went up into the sun, and I created 4 solar flares. Solar flares are used multi-purpose. So I use them as a bit of a fertilizer to help the righteous gain a little bit of steam. It actually helps strengthen the spirit, but in a physical way. So it's actually changing on a molecular level human biology. So if you're on the righteous path, it's actually going to continue to refine you by pulling out some of the bad characteristics, but it's on behalf of goodness, because what you're doing is it's bringing the darkness out into the light. So a lot of times during the 16th, the 17th, and the 18th, if you're on the one side and you're sealed with my name and you're on the right path, you're going to recognize that for what it is. And then you can walk accordingly, right? So things that you're not noticing on the daily, you should start to notice a lot of those subliminal, those smaller ticket items start to come to the surface, and then you deal with them. On the other hand, if you are an evil or a wicked, and that is the path you've chosen, it actually acts as like a cosmic weed killer. So thus, it's actually going to have negative and adverse reactions to those types of people. So it covers it both ways. And on the subject of the Stranger Things video I did yesterday, because it actually talks about like the CIA and the FBI and my involvement with them since about the 3rd grade, I don't know if it's going to be released. Some of my videos unfortunately get intercepted by my old long lost friends, the CIA, and they inadvertently sometimes will cut it out. Leads me to my next point about that is, at the same time, Trump announces like a dumb butt that he has the CIA working in and around Venezuela to serve a purpose. Well, let me share with you the purpose, since how we're just blowing national security out of the water. It doesn't really matter anyway, right? Because this whole, like, undercover Russian agent nonsense, like, all sides pretty much just broadcast what they're going to do, and all sides are pretty much your weenies. None of you guys know how to do anything, and you don't have the stones to do it either. So there's a little secret here on planet Earth that some of the few top officials know of, and it's right around the Drake's Passage, which is in Antarctica. So, South Georgia, South Sandwich Islands are claimed by Argentina, which is just about 75 nautical miles northeast of Drake's Passage. The Falkland Islands are also claimed by Argentina. The South Orkney Islands. And then, of course, we have the largest landmass to the north of Antarctica, which is Argentina. And then we have 1,000 miles to the north of Argentina, going into Venezuela. For my geography students who failed geography, South America is home of Brazil, Peru, Bolivia, Paraguay, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, And then when you go up to the Mexican side, you get Panama, Costa Rica, Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, El Salvador, Mexico. And then sandwiched between Mexico to your left, Florida to your north, and South America to your south is when you have the Caribbean, which are things like the Turks and Caicos, Cuba, Jamaica, Port-au-Prince, Haiti, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, stuff like that. So, in short, Trump is wanting to soften Argentina up, which is why we're giving $20 billion of money we don't have to Argentina. That is not a smart move, but when has P. Trump ever listened to God? Listen to me, Yahweh Elohim. Never. That's the answer. So, at this point, I would say that we have made an official split. I have split off from President Trump. He's no longer under my purview. He's no longer under my blessing. He's no longer in any shape, form, or way on a leash held by me. So, that's that. I'm sure there are other entities out there in the universe that are willing to pick up his leash and walk him to whatever dog park he's going to go to. Same thing, Benjamin Netanyahu, very disappointed. And at the end of the day, I gave you guys like the easiest unlock, the easiest type of earthly program I could even muster to make sure that it was infallible, incomprehensibly easy, clear right, clear wrong, clear win, clear fail, and Israel chose failure. You chose to agree with evil. You chose to release agents of war that create death, terrorists. So, there you go. Look, this is all voluntary, as I've said. So in no way is anybody forced to play my game. Because that's really sad, in all honesty, when I truly am just who I am, and I'm doing my job as Elohim, keeping the earth in orbit, keeping the temperatures normal, keeping the food growing, frankly, keeping the human beings alive, right? I'm keeping the ants in my ant farm alive. And to do that with any real progress with my church has pretty much come to a complete and catastrophic failure. I say that because as Elohim, I'm the busiest person on earth. I do more things for humanity than humanity could ever do for themselves, and yet in human form, I have unfortunate positions that I'm in that do require unearthly means of financial payment, right? I have to pay child support for Jacob, even though Jacob is, unfortunately under the control and dominion of his mother, my ex, Lilith. Doesn't remove the fact that it is still my burden to bear. Well, as I have went to the beast system to try to get a job, to try to make money, I'm basically blackballed, one. But two, I don't have the patience anymore to go and then to beg Clay to get their tokens so that I could pay the slot machines. Not slot machines like a casino, like a parallel of constantly feeding this never-ending thing, So, I would like, and upon special requests, I would like, if people have the means, if you could donate to the Vaults of Heaven. The PayPal link is in the description of my channel. It would really help me out. And again, I know that's probably, against the human way, and that's another thing, right? So, up to this point, mankind has has completely undervalued who I am, but then in certain ways have overstretched who I am. And that's where I have really been working for the last 3.5 years on trying to adjust and fine-tune how you understand me and how you see me, because I'm a real living, breathing human being when I'm on Earth. I look just like you, but I'm plus you. I can control cosmic rays like sunburst. I control the weather, I control the earth, I control the creation, I control the animals, and I control also natural humans. And then I can also persuade spiritual humans, but it would be unrighteous of me to do that in any type of way that would give me a material. So, for an Elohim, for me, that is like hands off. I can't manipulate someone's mind to say, give Yahweh money. I couldn't do that, and I wouldn't do that. That's unrighteous. Those types of things genuinely would need to come from the heart. Like if someone does feel it in their heart that, you know, they've been provisioned a little more than they need, then it would be a blessing unto me, you know. And that's truly what your tithing is at churches, is you're blessing the God of Abraham, of Isaac, and Jacob when you're giving unto the causes that have been set forth by me. So again, it would really help, because I don't really see any other way around. You know, I have the child support I must pay, and I need the money to be able to move to, again, Arkansas in the summer. So I'm in a bit of a pickle. My wife consort, you know, again, she makes good money, but not like six-figure good money. Like, she makes good money for us to be able to buy name brand ketchup kind of good money. So with that being said, any little bit would help, you know, and genuinely, you know, from person to person, from God to man, you know, it would help me out. And I've never actually asked for anything from anybody, but I am at a position where I need to make something happen, like truly, in some kind of real way. So moving on, the solar flares are serving the weed killer for the wicked, and it's serving as fertilizer for the righteous. So depending on what side of the wall you're on, act accordingly. Drink water, make sure you're hydrated, because as water can also carry frequency, it can also carry light. It can refract light. Now, even though it's not like being exposed on a one-to-one, these solar particles can go through everything. So they're going through you from today all the way until Monday. You have this opportunity to start working some spiritual gifts out, right? And then likewise, if you are a spirit and not a soul, so here's the difference, just to recap. A soul are the wild human. You guys, oh, is that the little bird? What's he doing? What is he doing? Hold on. One of my birds came to visit. Oh, hello. Oh, hello, you. Oh, it's so cool. Yeah, they hear my voice and they come to my window. That's kind of what my solve on the light was, is just have a window, right? It beats the heck out of trying to use the likes of these crappy things. Like, I'm just gonna throw that away. Anyway. Oh, on another development, I just so talking about developing things. So I have not mastered the ability, but I got to be more careful. As you all know, I've blown up my microwave, I've blown up cars, I've blown up stereo systems. I've also taken the lights out of a Walmart. If you watch the Stranger Things video, it tells you about the time I took out the lights and had the nosebleed in my first day of high school. But my computer, what I said at the beginning, was my third time, because I started the video and then I didn't realize that as I was moving my hand, the mouse was moving around my computer screen. And before I realized, it was moving with my hand, and then like I clicked by accident the off button. So trying to be more careful about that. I almost did it then. Back on track. Soul flares. Okay. Mike Johnson, what in the hell, man? You guys drive me crazy with this. I literally take my foot off of your butt for 1 minute, give you a small compliment, and then the next day I get, Mike Johnson's nominating President Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize of his own kind. What? Oh. No. You know, Mike Johnson, you know, you're back on the shit straight with me. Not shit straight as in a good way. You're back on like the Strait of Hormuz, that straight, deep, treacherous passage. But for you, it's just whale turds, man. Totally shit the bed on that one. You're supposed to just acknowledge, bow your head, be graceful, be humble, and stop with the man worship. Like, I thought you were doing me a solid by getting Bad Bunny out of the Super Bowl and telling the frickin' the NFL commissioner to like get his crap together. Like, if we're gonna turn the world back on its feet, and we gotta start somewhere. It can be in the micro or the macro. It can be done with a few righteous people showing the masses, the ignorant, the dumb, the blind followers of the world, right? By showing them their wrong and their folly and getting them to, because they're like zombies. Everyone knows this, right? The masses are like zombies. They just blindly follow musicians. They blindly follow this trend. They blindly. And it makes people rich, famous, egotistical, and unless I step in with a cosmic hand, it makes them unstoppable. That's why I'm telling you people, you don't want to be that. Right? Trump, I know we're not talking, and frankly, I've written you off. You're out of my book, you're out of my mind, you're out of my heart. But, you know, wanting your face on a coin, like, that's not good. So, moving on with my list. Argentina, Venezuela. A lot of that's about Drake's Passage, and also the United States and Russia are the two superpowers that have claimed dominion over Antarctica. Well, the creation is my dominion first and foremost. So if you would like to rent out Antarctica, so here's my deal. So Trump and Russia, I would let you rent Antarctica from me, and with that, I might be able to point you in a direction of certain things that have only been whispered about and have only been talked about on very top secret channels because Antarctica hasn't been properly mapped. It has actually not been explored. And when we're talking about World War III positions, Antarctica is a golden prize. And you say, well, I'm just America and I'm just Russia. Why do I gotta rent it from God? Like, forget God. I don't even believe in God. Well, because if you don't, then I can make sure that nothing goes well for you anywhere. Imagine that. Imagine having an Elohim like myself that I could make gunpowder not work. I could change the laws of physics right now, and I could make all your weaponry, all of your expensive hardcore weaponry dead. It'd be like throwing old tuna cans at one another. Useless. And I don't do that because, quite frankly, you guys are never going to learn if I spoon feed you. Just like having a rebellious teenager, right? That rebellious teenager, I could sit there and I could teach him and I could tell him and he could watch videos and we could go through the booklets and all this other crap. But if that teenager is hell-bent on doing nonsense, every righteous father knows he's going to get out there and do that unrighteousness. And as a father, we just pray that it ends with, that the rebellion ends through shame and not harm, that it ends with that son of perdition coming back to his father and coming back better for it. That is the world. The world is a son of perdition and all who are in it. You need to come back to your heavenly Father. You need to come back to those 10 commandments, do righteousness, and put that through the test, right? Every organization, every company, you need to be looking at your values. How are you treating your employees? How are you talking to your employees? But the other way around, employees, are you valuing your teammates, right? Are you truly applying righteousness in your business practices, in your love life, in your dealings with your neighbors, your community? How are you treating your family, your sons, your daughters? All around. Those 10 commandments don't just apply in church, Christians. They apply everywhere. And if you're not doing something to make somebody else's life better, then you're falling into a self-propelling, egotistical, selfish category, which the end of that is also death. Not a good thing. So Trump, Putin, I'll let you rent out Antarctica. I'll not only provide to you some things, but guess what? As he who makes exists, apply that. As I'm telling you all to apply the principles through all aspects of your life, I'm also confirming and telling you that at just my spoken word, I could make Antarctica green. With just my spoken word, I could freeze out everything on the equator. With just my word, I could conjure a Category 9 type of hurricane, 800 miles an hour, 4,000 miles wide. It would be like taking a sanding wheel to clear glass. Gone. And, I don't want to bully the earth to get my way. I would rather take a sensible approach and say, come sit. Let us reason. I have very, very, very small needs to be met in a human way. The wife queen consort, I gave her provision directly. That provision feeds our kids, pays our bills, pays our car bill, and again lets us buy the name brand ketchup. What is this nonsense? Stupid news. So really, it does fall under my churches to be able to send forth a provision that has already been established for me, Elohim. And I would like to see the fruit of that so I can not only continue my work that I'm doing now uninterrupted, but that way I will not only be able to cover Jacob's bill, ensure that I get that cleared up, but then once I get relocated to hopefully Arkansas, that's where we're hoping for, but I would love to be able to generate enough income, assuming through charitable donation, that I'd be able to make a flight there or a drive there with the wife so we can scout, because right now neither one of us have ever actually been to Arkansas in the flesh. I've been there in spirit, and Asher has watched a lot of videos and stuff, and mainly the driver is I want to be in a state that's more nature than city. I want to be in a climate that has all 4 seasons. I want to be able to have the potentiality to purchase a large piece of land, several hundred acres, maybe even 1,000 acres of land that At this point, Israel didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't keep covenant. So I have zero ambitions at this point to resurrect a temple. I frankly don't give a shit. Because the government decided to side with the opinions of Keir Starmer in the United Kingdom. It decided to let Trump just come in and stomp all over the progress that was being made on the Gaza plateau. So frankly, that's off the table right now. So my refocus is going to be, I'm going to establish the Christians as my people. I am your God. I am your Elohim. Not Jesus, but to find me, you need to be like Jesus. You need to be like Yeshua. Follow Yeshua and go where Yeshua went. That's the whole point, right? So he is like, when you think of like a Jew and they're like, Isaiah's our master rabbi, right? Or Jeremiah. Well, they are your master rabbi yet, Christian, but remember, you're a Gentile. You are oceans away from having a Jewish lens in the faith. And what in the hell is this now? Oh, shoot. Hey, what's up, kiddo? Okay, well, you need to get shit straight with your friends because we can't do this. So, typical teenage issues where they plan on having club after school and then it ends up not happening. So, that is a pain in the ass. Despite that, we will continue. The wife is going to go in my stead. Oh, now the computer's having issues, so hopefully I'm not frozen on that end. But anyway, here we go. So far we've covered Venezuela, Argentina, the fake peace deal, the decisions of the children of Israel again. I turn my face to you. Face officially turned. Bam. So then the next priority item will be to get the Christians on track. Get you guys to follow Yeshua to get to me, Elohim. And then when you get to me, Elohim, then you can take it upon your heart, your purpose, and your soul to work a purpose for the betterment of the world, the creation, and thus the kingdom. That is the priority. And any and all those who have provisions to spare, it would be valued greatly by me. Because, at the end of the day, do I expect anything from anybody? No, I don't. But I can tell you that I only have so many hours in a human day to do things. And as it is right now, I go days without sleep to work on behalf of mankind. Whereas most mankind, right, you guys have your 8-hour work day and then you fill the rest of it with who else knows, right? I am on purpose 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Unequivocal. And I mean, at this point, right, I get virtually no cooperation from states, from governments, from generations, people, places, and things. No one wants to cooperate with me. Which takes, honestly, it's like going into the daycare. And I've given the orders, and all the kids are still destroying the daycare. They're talking about who knows what in what corner. Everybody's just doing their thing. Nobody's actually taking the order seriously. So I've put the pizzas back in the car, put the Capri Suns back in the cooler, and now I'll just be sitting in my office looking out the window waiting for all those things in which I've told the earth to do. And meanwhile, the rod, the left hand, will be ushering in those things in which I do. Excuse me. So, yeah, I think I covered the Mike Johnson thing. And that's what I mean, right? A small compliment to one person, and the next thing you know, they completely go ass over tea kettle, and then they just, like, they just go right back to the vomit. Like, the dog goes right back to licking the mange, and it's like, why can't I get freaking progress, man? Like, with anything. You know, and then also a double shame on all those states, principalities, offices, post office, just saying that they're not going to post the Ten Commandments, schools saying that they're rejecting, you know, and I'm not even saying we need to incorporate biblical teachings into school, guys. You just need to incorporate righteous teachings. You need to incorporate the Ten Commandments. That is not religious. That is the basic laws of civilization. So again, I tell you, if you are having an issue with following basic rules of civilization, then you don't deserve the creation. You don't deserve the flesh and you were given. You do not deserve it. Because understand that if every man, woman, and child were instructed in righteousness for one generation, meaning those 10 commandments, your society would clean itself up. Why is that a hard concept for you to get? If nasty shows like Saturday Night Live and the late night show with who knows his name, if all that stuff would not be viewed, then it would not exist. Because understand that if the world was righteous as a whole, and some grubby little slick greasy haired son of a bitch wanted to put forth some grimy South Park stuff, the world would turn their nose up to it. Because they were like, we're not watching this. Those types of industries would never get off the ground. It would not fruit for them. They would thus move on to create content of a righteous manner that the righteous world would accept and like and enjoy, versus a defiled, decrepit world that enjoys debauchery. It enjoys nastiness. And that's to my point, right? Is it starts at the society level and then it moves through the community. And it starts one thing at a time. You know? And stereotypes, it's amazing. Like when we're talking about the soul versus the spirit. Most humans on earth have souls. You don't have any spiritual connection to heaven. You don't have any real tethering to me, Elohim. So you're like chaff in the wind. You guys follow... Well, everybody likes Taylor Swift, so I'm going to like Taylor Swift. She's turned raunchy. Snub her. Put your nose up. Don't buy her crap. Right? We're sick and tired of people who throw a brown ball around the field making millions of dollars a year. Meanwhile, nurses are working 24-hour shifts, saving lives, you know, making sure that patients are taken care of, and yet they're risking their profession and their livelihood every damn day. You know, trying to dodge lawyers, trying to dodge this, dodge that, and all they're trying to do is the right thing. And yet we see the nurses of the world driving those beat-up-ass Honda Civics, and then we see these bad actors on football fields making millions, driving Lamborghinis, and everybody's watering at the mouth waiting for them to walk out of a fucking stadium with suits on. You all need your heads examined. You all need, to be honest, if I'm clear, most people of the earth, they need a visit to hell. And I mean, not like 5 minutes, not like 15 minutes, like a couple hundred years. To really get it in your mind just how serious this is. And to get the point across that everything that is transpiring upon the creation in one way or another is not only unrighteous, it is unsavory, but it is definitely fueled by demonic entity, demonic energy. If you were to cut out the biblical perspective and cut out even the character perspective, sin is sickness to a human being. It severs your connection from the holy energy, which propels, protects, and institutes life, order, justice, harmony, forward motion. Sin traps you in stale, stagnant repetition without growth, without success, without a pious outcome. And we have to change the mind of the world. And those that refuse to change, those that are still sitting in the commissioner's office like, well, we like Bad Bunny, it's going to make us millions of dollars. Okay, you guys are all going to go to hell. Even if you have 100 years left, which none of you do. Not even close. Not even like a small portion of that. Is it really worth your eternal soul to make all that money? Even if I say here right now, that's what I mean. So let's say that I somehow had a hand in the beast and I was able to write checks for people and say, here you go. Here's $100 billion, human. Now go ahead and just sign this. Your soul goes to hell. You get the check. Have a nice day. When you die, we'll see you down there, right? You all do that every day. And we are fueling the non-player characters of the world because, right, the non-player characters of the world are those that they're very submissive to money. They're very submissive to authority. They don't care if the authority is righteous. They only know if it's authority. That's the earthbound human. That's the soul that needs saving. That's where you need a complete remapping of the mind, a complete chastisement of the heart, the Bible, the 10 Commandments, the law to walk by and abide by, to do it repetitiously, so then it becomes ingrained. Versus the spirit, you have the innate qualities of heaven. You just then are responsible for ensuring that if you're in a position of power, you're wielding it in the right ways. You're pushing for things that are righteous. You're condemning those things that are unrighteous. If you're a leader, then fucking lead. If you're a follower, then follow what is righteous. Follow what is condemning evil. Follow what is condemning, demonstrous acts against your own species. So, ow. Alright. Well, this day has been choppy as it is. The video's went off 3 different times. Interruptions everywhere. So, I encourage you to watch the last video, the Stranger Things video. If it disappears, you can blame my old friends, the CIA, because that's how that video started yesterday. Is I went out to the driveway and I saw fresh truck tracks at the end of my driveway and a cigarette butt. And basically, throughout my life, these people, it's not like I'm just seeing them. It's not like a hallucination or anything, but they keep tabs on me everywhere I go, and it just seems like now it's a bit of a resurgence. But they've done a pretty damn good job at keeping me under the lid. So hopefully that video fills in some context for you about kind of who I am and on a person basis. But alrighty, well, have a good rest of the day, and like I said, we will catch you another time.